Well, welcome back to another episode of Music Club FM. We have a new date. It's coming out on Thursday from now on. Usually the format of this show, I go straight into new music. This week, and for the kind of upcoming few weeks, we're going to be a little bit different. This week we're doing a festival special. It's officially the start of festival season this week, and we're all still locked down, so that ain't happening. But there's no reason why we can't still enjoy all that music. Because actually, the art of curating a lineup is something that should be celebrated. And this week, we are celebrating one hell of a lineup in All Points East Festival. Due to start on the 22nd of May and roll for 2 consecutive weekends, this started as a little one-dayer and has become a bit of a monster in London. It's held in Hackney at Victoria Park. Other festivals that have been there in the past include Lovebox and Field Day, many more as well. But this one, the names have been getting bigger. It's been getting more and more interesting over the last couple of years, and this year it was a 2-weekender, a dual weekender if you will, and just some amazing days. So what we're going to do is we're going to play each day. We're going to play some records from some of the bands that I would have gone to have seen had that festival gone on, and we can talk about them because wow, what a lineup. So starting off with the Friday, we're going to go from start of the day up till headliner. We're starting off with Gengar, an act that I came across a good few years ago and really enjoyed. They were a very small band and just seemed to be creeping into everyone's playlists. This record in particular. So, as I mentioned, this week we're covering All Points East Festival. We have got some fresh music for you. The next record is a fresh record. To stick with that Friday, we're moving up now to Everything Everything and their newest record. And you know, Everything Everything have been one of those bands that have been around for years. They've played Reading loads. I've seen them a good few times. I've never been obsessed with them as a band, when a lot of people are. But you know what? They have a good couple of records on each album, and they're definitely a massive part of UK indie culture, so they're definitely worthy of being booked. They released a new record the other day called In Birdsong, which one of you guys, who was it? Kellen Sarson asked to play In Birdsong. I actually don't really like that record. It's certainly not track 2 on this playlist, on this podcast. So we're going to be going with the other record that's been released on their album, and a record that I really enjoy. It's called Arch Enemy. It's a bit of a different direction for them. It's still very everything, don't get me wrong, but it's a nice direction to hear them in. They have a new album, Reanimator, due out on the 21st of August, so we expect to play more records from this kind of towards the end of July when we do our Albums in August special. Probably, that says to me, there would have been a secret set at Reading. There we go. We will be covering Reading in depth next week. This week, it's just All Points East. This record is a belter. This is Arch Enemy by Everything Everything. Okay, continuing on that Friday, working our way up that lineup which includes a plethora of amazing artists. Obviously, we've already played Gengar. You would also look at people like Liz Lawrence, the Orleys, Nick Hakim, Nadine Saar, Nolufar Yanya. I don't know them. And of course, the incredible Leanne Havas. Next, we're going straight to the sub-headliner, the wonderfully talented Loyal Kana, who is someone that has been on my radar for a good few years now. Really pushes a showcase of what British hip-hop could sound like. We have a thriving drill and grime scene, one that's incredibly exciting. But straying outside of that, there isn't a lot really, and Loyal Kana, for me, just took off where Roots Maneuver kind of left, and has just been an incredible artist that's released a plethora of fantastic music over the last few years. Records like BFG, obviously collaborated with Tom Misch on the incredible record Water Baby. You know, Loyal Kana is, if you do not know Loyal Kana, then get to know, because the man's a legend. He released his follow-up album last year. Obviously the debut album, the absolute monster, was released in 2017, Yesterday's Gone, which features the record that we're playing today and was requested by JX2, I believe. JX2 and Jack. Good username there, Jack. I like that one. Of course, you cannot talk about Loyal Kana and not play this record. This is the incredible Ain't Nothing Changed by Loyal Kana.
I'm saying ain't nothing changed. Trust, cause ain't nothing changed. Saying ain't nothing changed.
And to round up the first day at All Points East, I mean, we've had a good day of music at this point, and this is just a little bit of the lineup. We've played music by Gengar, we've played music by Everything, we've played music by Loyal Kana, we've been and seen Leanne La Havas. We've had a good day of music, and then we finished the day off with our first headliner in Bombay Bicycle Club. Oh my goodness. Now, I've seen Bombay Bicycle Club a million times. They are just one of my favourite bands. They really, really are. Their first album came out in 2009. I Had the Blues and Shook Them Loose. It's one of my favourite albums of all time. It's absolutely brilliant. If you need some new music, or you don't know Bombay and you want to go back and just kind of discover something that is just legendary and so inspirational to so many artists today, go and listen to that album. It's amazing. Highlights on that album include, for me, Emergency Contraception Blues, Lamplight, Dust on the Ground, Always Like This, Magnets, The Hill, What If. Oh my god, that album is absolutely spectacular. We could sit here and just play Bombay records for the next hour, and that would be completely fine. They then followed that up with their record Flaws, which was more of an acoustic album. At the time, folk was really popular. It was a really, really popular sound. And they kind of went down that avenue for a little bit just to kind of get it out of their system. And then they came back in 2011 with a different kind of fix, which had a much more electronic influence. They started playing around with samplers, started delving around more with different instruments, releasing the incredible record Shuffle, released the incredible record Lights Out Words Gone, which is just one of their absolute staples. You could do worse than going and listening to that album as well. It's absolutely brilliant. In 2014, they returned and released their brilliant album So Long See You Tomorrow, which of course came back with records like Carry Me. You know, they've really started to dive deep into their electronic back catalogue. Just the whole thing is so good. Overdone is an absolutely amazing record. Carry Me is brilliant. Luna is absolutely spectacular. So Long See You Tomorrow finishes the album out beautifully. It's one of my favourite albums of the last 10 years, hands down. If you're enjoying this sound at this point, go and listen to that album. It's absolutely brilliant. And then they kind of went on a hiatus. In 2014, they headlined the Radio 1 stage at Reading and Leeds, and really that was the pinnacle for them. And at that point, they went and took a break. Jack Steadman, the lead singer, went off and made a new project called Mr. Jukes, which is also absolutely brilliant, much more jazz orientated. One of the great things about Bombay is that they have quite a few different influences. So we had the kind of folk influence of the late noughties, especially on records like Flaws. They had a massive electronic influence in when you looked at records like Shuffle, and then going on with things like Carry Me was very dance floor orientated. But if you go back to their roots and listen to records like It's Always Like This, there's a lot of funk and jazz influence there. They weren't just another indie band. So it made sense that Jack went off and kind of made this producer album. That was one of my albums of 2017. It was one of my albums of 2017. It's absolutely spectacular. If you were a fan of Bombay and want to go and find a bit more about them, then go and listen to that. Records like Angels are incredible. Grant Green are brilliant. The whole album is just, it's so familiar and so different. So when they announced they were coming back and getting back together, and they were about to pack it in and call it quits, I got excited. And I heard their first record, the record that we're playing today from this new album, the day after Reading Festival. Oh, it was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Listen to it on repeat. It's absolutely spectacular. Their newest album came out earlier on this year. I managed to catch them live just before we all went into lockdown. It was absolutely stunning. It's such a good album. As a collective of 4 records, I don't include Flaws, it's absolutely spectacular, so I'm really, really happy. This album also has the record People, which features Liz Lawrence, who was also due to play earlier on in the day, so she was touring with them, I believe, is my understanding anyway. But this is such a good album. Is This Real? Everything Else Has Gone Wrong is amazing. And the amazing record that we're playing today, Eat, Sleep, Wake, Nothing But You. Oh, to finish the first day off with Bombay is a dream. Enjoy. Okay, day one was a monster, but day two, oh, goodness me. Let's start off with some more fresh music for day two, and that's Yellow Days. Now, I came across Yellow Days about 3 years ago. Lauren, my girlfriend, shout outs to Lauren, she introduced me to Yellow Days. This guy who had this wonderful sound, it's like a... Yellow Days describes it really, really well. It sounds like a summer's British day to me. It really does. This wonderful kind of laid-back jazz feel, but also kind of a bit of a sexy feel to his records as well. He's pushed that further and further and further and further over the last couple of years, and has now just announced that he's releasing his second album, which is due out on the 7th of August. August is shaping up to be a pretty good one. A Day in a Yellow Beat. This is the first record taken from that new album. I would have loved to have done it in Who the Fuck Ever Yellow Days. One day I'm hoping I can, but today we're playing the wonderful Treat You Right. It's just a really cool... It's got way more of a George Clinton funk element to it, in my opinion. He's going down that road, and I am not going to get in the way. It's absolutely amazing to listen to. So this is Treat You Right by Yellow Days. Baby, I wanna treat you right. By the way, the weather, in my opinion, isn't going to be like British Festival where it's all like gloomy and doomy. This is going to be like a really good hot summer's day. Cider's flowing nice, G&Ts. Oof, it's going to be wonderful. We've just gone and watched Yellow Days, and then we follow up with the incredible Avalanches, a band or duo, I guess, from Australia. They're two guys that work with lots of different people. They released their first album in 2001, I believe. I came across them, maybe 99. Hang on, let's have a look. Avalanches. Since I Left You, which is an iconic album, came out in 2000. Okay, came across the record Frontier Psychiatrist. Of course, featured the wonderful Since I Left You as well, the title track. Just a brilliant record. Then they went away for 15 years. 15 years. And they released the record Wildflower in 2016. It was received with critical acclaim, features some incredible artists, and I kind of thought that was it. We won't see them for a long time now. And then they just kind of started putting out music. They released a new record with Blood Orange like 2-3 months ago, which is okay, and I was going to go back and play something old from them, but then they released this record, Running Red Lights, featuring Rivers Cuomo from Weezer, who is brilliant, and Pink Sifu. This record is stunning. This is just summer. It's just a summer record. The Avalanches are just back 20 years after releasing their first record and just releasing amazing music. It doesn't sound dated or like a throwback. It's just absolutely lovely. I'm excited to see where this next project of theirs goes. This record, oh, what a day this is shaping up to be. This is Running Red Lights featuring Rivers Cuomo and Pink Sifu by the Avalanches. Running red lights, red lights. Next we're going to a band that I've kind of just discovered recently. Actually, you know what? I can remember one of you guys, one of you beautiful viewers, recommended me this record, or a record by this band. We're talking about Rolling Blackout Coastal Fever, which I thought was a ridiculous name, but they're really cool. They're a really cool band. They've got 3 albums. They're about to release their 3rd album, I believe. Yes, they're releasing their 3rd album, Sideways to New Italy, on June the 5th, so we'll be talking about them probably next week in the What to Look Forward to in June special. Yeah, this record's just brilliant, and as a band I'm intrigued to see what this album sounds like and where they're going. I've not really gone back and listened to much of their old music. Talking Straight was recommended to me. That's the record from their last album, and yeah, this new one here is coming out June the 5th. This is taken from that album. This is Falling Thunder by Rolling Blackouts Coastal Fever. We're still on day 2. We've had Yellow Days. It's been amazing. We've seen how iconic the Avalanches are. It's great. Go on to some new indie music. Brilliant. Rolling Blackout. Now we move into some absolutely spectacular music from Glass Animals. They're back again. Another artist who's releasing a new album. When I was doing this, planning this podcast, I thought it's going to be really hard to put together something that works as a new music show, but everything here so far has been pretty new. Within a couple of months. I first came across Glass Animals after they played Glastonbury, I think in 2016, and loved their record Gooey, which is brilliant. They were just lovely, and I was like, right, I need to listen to more of them. Then I came across them again after they released their second album. Oh no, hang on, right, okay. Perhaps I came across them after their second album. Anyway, Gooey was the first record I heard by them. It was lovely. Then, of course, they released their second album, which included records like Pork Soda. And of course, we then went on to listen to the incredible Youth. They're just an amazing band. They just had such an amazing run. And it's good to have them back. They went away for a while. My understanding was the lead singer went off to go and make a lot of hip-hop records, and has just kind of come back, and it's 4 years later, and I'm more than happy to have new music by them. When I was driving around Australia towards the end of last year on my road trip, we would go and listen to Annie Mac or whatever once a week. We listened to her show when they had them in as the hottest record. Of course, working with the incredible Denzel Curry, who you can go back and listen to. We did a WTF episode about him, so go and check that one out if you don't know much about Denzel. But they work with Denzel on the record Tokyo Drifting, which is a smasher. This week released their newest record Dreamland, which is the title track of their newest album, due out on July the 10th. We'll be going into more depth about that towards the end of next month, of course. But today, we're playing Your Love, the record that I have been meaning to talk about for a long time and just adore. It's absolutely spectacular, and it just fits in perfectly with the lineup that we're going through today. So, without further ado, this is Your Love, Deja Vu by Glass Animals.
I can feel your love, your temporary touch. It's a
So we've had a belter of a day. This Saturday is ridiculous. We've started off by going and checking out the soothing and funky sounds of Yellow Days, an act I still haven't seen live and I'm gagging to see. Followed that up with the legends that are the Avalanches and Rolling Blackout, Coastal Fever and Glass Animals. What a day so far. Then we move into Caribou. Now, when Glastonbury was cancelled this year, I did a WTF video about Caribou and I went in on him. That video is probably the most research I've ever done for an artist. Set the new caliber. The problem is when you do this, you get obsessed with acts. You get obsessed, and Caribou is someone that I am obsessed with. This week he has worked with his friend Fortet on the remix of Never Come Back. I was going to play that, but I just want to play the original because it fits in perfectly with what we're doing so far. Caribou, and don't need to do much more speaking about him. We've played him. We played him on the first or second episode of this show. We've done a WTF episode about him. Go back and watch that if you want to find out more. But now, just enjoy this. This is Never Come Back by the incredible Caribou. And then, to finish off what is potentially one of the best lineups of a day festival that I've seen in a long time, we finish off with the formidable Tame Impala. Whew. So, let's talk about Tame Impala. When I first came across him in 2011, I listened to his first album because I thought the artwork was really, really cool. I remember listening to a couple of records on that album, thinking that they sounded like kind of Revolver, psychedelic era Beatles. I still maintain that, actually. I think his Kevin Parker's vocal is very John Lennon-esque, and I think when you go back and listen to that first album, that's definitely how you describe it. His sound has evolved more and more and more over the years. He's become way more of a producer, and if not one of the best producers in the world, that would be a fun episode to talk about. Let's just talk about the best producers and some of their records. Bench that idea, write that down. But Kevin Parker and Tame Impala is one of the best outfits for music ever, and is up there in my list. Top 3, I think, probably, to see Tame Impala live. And to see it in this lineup would have been great. Absolutely great. His first album, Inner Speaker, came out in 2010. Just an absolute brilliant record. Standouts on there include Is This Not Meant to Be? Why Won't You Make Up Your Mind? So good. Lonerism, he followed that with Lonerism in 2012, which featured the incredible Elephant. That's probably one of his most iconic records. In 2015, Currents literally took everyone by storm. That album is spectacular from start to finish. You could do a lot worse than going and checking that one out. Let It Happen, The Less You Know The Better, Past Life, 'Cause I'm a Man. Just so good. The whole album is so good. And then this year, we got the return of Tame Impala in the wonderful Slow Rush, 10 years after his first record. Of course, we were introduced to him last year with records like Borderline and It Might Be Time. But to finish this kind of segment off for the Saturday at All Points East, there's only one record that fits in perfectly on this run, and that is the incredible Lost in Yesterday. If you enjoy this, if you haven't heard this, what the f*** is going on? But if you haven't and you like the sound of it, then oh my god, I'd love to do a WTF episode about Tame Impala. It would be absolutely brilliant. This is the formidable Tame Impala and the record Lost in Yesterday. Okay, from here on out, I'm going to keep it a bit short and sweet because it's easy to get a little bit carried away. So I think we're going like 3 or 4 from each day, maybe? Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, starting off on the Sunday, the 24th. There's some great acts in here which I haven't put in. People like Shax Green, I love Young Fathers. There's some incredible people on this lineup. But we're going to start off with the incredible Tonight, which is Lunis and Hudson Mohawke, 2 incredible producers, really gave birth to the trap sound. Now, when I say that, I mean, when they first started bringing their stuff out, dubstep was at its height. Dubstep was huge. It was just coming towards the end of it. EDM was being taken over as the kind of the Americans were changing dubstep into EDM. People can get upset about me saying that, but it's true. You know, we had this amazing deep dark London sound. The Americans got hold of it, made it really big and bolshy and loud. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it changed. What came with that was an evolution, which was called trap. And from a production sound anyway, this is where it came from. And Tonight, or Hudson Mohawke and Lunis, put out this wonderful EP. It was so different from anything else that was out there, and it was such fun to play in clubs. It was brilliant. They then went on to release another record, just a standalone one. It was kind of a bit weird, called Acrylics. So good. And then last year they followed that up with part 2, just called 2. It's an 8-song EP by Tonight. I'll be completely honest, that swept completely under my radar. They're signed to Warp Records, which is a UK record label, which is really cool. Obviously Hudson Mohawke has gone on to do absolutely wonderful things with other people. Today we're playing the wonderful Higher Ground. You know, this sounds to me now like a record that sounds like everything else, but this was the first time that you had like big bolshy trumpets and brass samples over trap beats. It wasn't a thing before this. Like, it just wasn't. Not like this. Absolute turning point in music. Tonight, Higher Ground, what a belter. From 2 super producers to another 2 super producers. Next on the lineup, we're looking at Thom Yorke. Thom Yorke, obviously the lead singer of Radiohead and amazing musician in his own right. I'm not gonna lie, like, I'm not the biggest Radiohead fan. I'm just not. I've never really got it. I don't not like them. People love them, and I don't. However, there's been some amazing records that they've put out. There's some amazing records that Thom Yorke's put out, and some amazing features that he's done. And the most famous for me was when DJ Shadow and James Lavelle collaborated for Science Fiction, which was their first debut album by the duo. They were known as Uncle. They went on to make just an amazing album. This record is taken from that debut album, Rabbit in Your Headlights. Features Thom Yorke. It's absolutely spectacular. Completely different to what tonight we're trying to do. Anyway, Thom Yorke, amazing guy. This record is an amazing feature between DJ Shadow, James Lavelle, a real pinnacle in British dance music or British electronic music. Just wonderful. I'd love to do a WTF video about DJ Shadow. That would be absolutely brilliant. Next year, perhaps we'll have to cover different festivals and work out how we do WTF, because there could be some fun. Anyway, this is Rabbit in Your Headlights by Uncle featuring Thom Yorke. And to finish off that Sunday, we have an act from Bristol. An amazing act from Bristol called Massive Attack. They have been very iconic. If we're talking about people like DJ Shadow and Uncle, then Massive Attack are in that same breath alongside people like Portishead. There's definitely kind of room where they all exist, and Massive Attack have been massive. Excuse the pun. Their most famous record, of course, is Unfinished Symphony, which is just a UK dance classic, an Ibiza classic, just so inspirational. Incredible strings, really shaped it, and is a massive source of inspiration for many producers in the UK. Of course, the wonderful Teardrop, which is just brilliant. This record is from their last album. When was the last album, you ask? I think it was 2010, Heligoland? Heligoland, I think that's how you pronounce it, in 2010, in fact, 10 years ago. Wow, new music from Massive Attack would be brilliant, I'm okay with that. And this record is just stunning. So I guess this is their most recent record, because they haven't released anything in 10 years. This is the brilliant Paradise Circus, which has been used for loads of TV commercials and a plethora of other things over the last 10 years. It's just absolutely a stunning record. There's an amazing remix by Breakage out there. If you fancy going and listening to a different version of this, then that remix is amazing. Shout outs to Breakage, what a fantastic producer. Yeah, I'll let this speak for itself. What an amazing Sunday that would have been to check out. This is Paradise Circus by Massive Attack.
Look at her with a smile like a flame.
Okay, moving on to week 2. We got a couple of records from this one. Last week I played music by Kraftwerk, so we're not going to be playing the headline slot, which is Kraftwerk 3D. Shout out and RIP to Florian Schneider of Kraftwerk and their incredible influence. If you want to go listen to learn some more about them, there's some incredible information out there. I also talked about them in last week's podcast, so you can listen to that again. Some wicked names on this lineup for that day. We're looking at people like Jenny Beth and Anna Calvi, Chromatics, The Orb, Johnny Marr. I am going to be playing a record by them now by Grandmaster Flash. Who's Grandmaster Flash, you ask? Grandmaster Flash. In 1982, Grandmaster Flash put out a record called The Message. Now, you've got to remember, at this point, hip-hop is like the underbelly of New York City. It's from the Bronx and from Brooklyn. It isn't something that is what it is today. We're talking the origins of hip-hop. There's a really good show you can watch on Netflix called The Get Down. It's a bit twee, and it's got Jaden Smith in it, but it does give a really good background as to where hip-hop comes from and how it existed. At that point, disco was massive still. In the late 70s, early 80s, disco was still absolutely huge. And lots of people hated disco. They absolutely hated it. It tore people in two. Some people loved it, some people absolutely hated it. Of course, these days, we all look back at that stuff with fondness, but at the time, they absolutely hated it. And what people were doing was taking disco records, taking the break out of it, getting two of the same, playing on two turntables and cutting between the two. And then what they would do, they would call that the get down, the breakdown is what it's actually called. And then what you would do is have battles with other DJs, right? At the same time, you'd have MCs who would host for you and would rhyme over the top. Origins of hip hop, really simple, people rhyming over breakbeats that were being mixed between live. Origins of hip hop, it's such an amazing subject. I wish I could talk about this more. I could talk about it literally all day. Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5 put out this record. It's such an iconic record. The beat is wonderful. The flows are so basic. But in a lot of ways, they're way more complicated than a lot of like the Atlanta rap that you hear these days. So I think that where respect is due, this is absolutely amazing. And I've seen Grandmaster Flash before. He's a very, very good DJ. He's a proper hip-hop DJ, and I've got time for that. And what better way to celebrate that than with the incredible record, The Message, by Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5.
It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep from going under.
And supporting Kraftwerk is the wonderful Iggy Pop. This little day here is a bit of a throwback day, isn't it? This is like the coolest rewind festival ever. Kraftwerk, Iggy Pop, Johnny Marr, and Grandmaster Flash. And the Orb. Like, that's a pretty cool, like, that's the best rewind festival you're ever going to find, in my opinion. Iggy Pop was part of a band called The Stooges, who formed many, many years ago. Let's have a look. The Stooges have been around since the late 60s. Iggy Pop was obviously the front man. He worked with amazing artists like David Bowie, and was part of that kind of whole alt scene in the late 60s and to kind of now, I guess, really. We're talking about someone who's a true rock star at this point. Iggy Pop is an absolute icon. When we talk about the Stooges and we talk about Iggy Pop, we could be talking about records like Passenger, we could talk about records like Lust for Life, but we are today going to be playing my favourite record that he's been part of, which is the wonderful I Want to Be Your Dog. I think this record in particular has influenced some incredible acts over the years. I don't think you have Idols, or I don't think you have Oasis, I don't think you have Fontaine's DC, I don't think you have a lot of punk without this record. It really, really is the origins of that. And to celebrate it, what better way than play it? This is I Want to Be Your Dog by Iggy Pop. Well, actually I think it's by the Stooges, but for today it's by Iggy Pop.
Now I wanna be your dog. Now I wanna be your dog.
Okay, I'm moving into the final day, which is the Saturday. The Sunday was never announced, so I don't know what it was going to be. It could have been fun, I don't know. But the Saturday, Saturday the 30th of May, I've got 5 records left to play for you. Starting out with the incredible Blocks, who I caught a couple of years ago. Lauren discovered them first. Their record Coke, we came on her new music playlist. She became obsessed with them, and I went and saw them at Reading and Leeds in 2018. Struggled to enjoy that set. I think I was really hungover. Last year, they ended up playing on the Radio 1 stage at RNL, so I caught them again. Brilliant. Really started to build fan base. Packed the tent out. It was absolutely great. This year, started to release even more music. They were going down a little commercial route. I feel they're coming away from that again, and I'm okay with that. And we're due to play the main stage at Reading and Leeds this year. That's crazy. Of course, unfortunately, that's been cancelled now. But they're an amazing band. They've just announced that they're releasing their debut album, Lie Out Loud. Their guitarist, I think it's their guitarist, the guitarist is still works at Wetherspoons. This shows you can play the main stage at Reading and Leeds, and it doesn't give you enough of a full-time job. So what I want from everyone is to just go and listen to their music, because that's how you get paid. If they're touring, go and see them. That's how you support your musicians and get them out of working bar jobs. Because actually, when they're making music this good, we should not be having them pouring pints. We should have them playing guitars, which is what they should be doing. This record is the title track from their upcoming album Lie Out Loud, which is due for release on the 14th of August, so we'll be talking about that at the end of next month. This is brilliant. It's so good, and I love it, and I'm really excited to see them where they're at and becoming the band that they should be. This is Lie Out Loud by Blocks. When I first looked at all this lineup, I got really excited about being able to talk about Gang of Youths. They're a band that I discovered in 2013. I think it was 2013. With an amazing record, Evangelists. I would adore to do a WTF episode about them. They're, in the same way that I loved doing my Ocean Alley video last year, big Australian bands that just aren't that big here. Gang of Youths are amazing. 2013, Evangelists. Stunning record. Met their manager once, and I told him that Evangelists was on Apple Music, and now it's here. That makes me happy. I like to think that I was the person that got that there. I know they wrote the record and performed it and made it brilliant, but you can thank me, don't worry about it. They then released their debut album, The Positions, in 2015, which includes the wonderful record, Magnolia. It's absolutely massive. They're not a big band in the UK, not really, but they're like in Oz, they're like Wolf Alice level. They're pretty big. They live in London. I've seen them twice, if not more. They're incredible live. Their latest album, Go Farther in Lightness, came out in 2017 and is absolutely spectacular. From start to finish, it deals with some real tough issues. The production's amazing. There's incredible string sections. It's very orchestral and epic. They're just a brilliant band. And I'm gagging for them to absolutely destroy festival season over the next couple of years. Today we're playing their monstrous record, What Can I Do If the Fire Goes Out, which, if you're like a fan of The Killers or Bruce Springsteen or the Gaslight Anthem, this is the kind of record that you're going to like by them. They have other records which sound very different. They're still brilliant. Like, their whole sound is amazing. I absolutely love this band. They're supposed to be releasing a new album this year. It might come out next year after this whole COVID thing. I don't know. But I'm excited for new music from them. Today, this record will do. It would have been absolutely amazing to see this in that field on that day. This is What Can I Do If the Fire Goes Out by Gang of Youths.
What can I do if the fire goes out?
Also playing that Sunday was Latham's Gabrielle Aplin and Lauren Hibbard and Thom Yorke. Thom Yorke I'm not a fan of, so I'm not really playing his music, but others, some great artists there as well. So, you know, this is not meant to take away from any other acts that I haven't played. This is just talking about what I would definitely go see and squeezing it into an episode. This next artist, Jake Bugg, is a guy that I've seen rise through the ranks. He was loved by BBC when he first came out, and I've seen play a few different gigs at Reading and Leeds over the years. I've seen him on the Radio 1 stage, I've seen him on the main stage, I've seen him on the introducing stage. He's gone to support one of the Gallagher brothers, I'm not sure which one, and has made an amazing name for himself. Last year did a record with Camel Fat, which was brilliant to see him move away from this kind of Neil Young, Bob Dylan kind of sound that he brings and move into something of a completely different world and be someone is wonderful. I really love that collaboration. Would love to see more in that kind of ilk from him. He's brilliant. This record came out towards the end of last year. I think this means that there might be something new on the horizon. I hope so, because I love this. This is Kiss Like the Sun by Jake Bugg. And that Saturday, the 30th, had two headliners. A dual headliner, if you will. Let's look at the Kooks. The Kooks are huge, right? I don't think they're All Points East Festival. Like, when you compare them to Bombay or Tame Impala or Massive Attack or Kraftwerk, I don't think they're that level. But coupled with the other headliner, I think this works well. That's a big indie day. Jake Bugg, Gang of Youths, Blocks, the Kooks. I think that works well. And the thing is, the Kooks in 2005, when they released their debut album, they were the biggest band in the world. Everyone loved it. Naive is an indie anthem of that era. It is the national anthem for that era. Massive. The rest of the album's great as well. Seaside, Ooh La, See the World, Sofa Song. You know, they're amazing records. But it feels to me like they've never been able to, hype-wise, overtake that. But actually, if you go through the Kooks back catalogue, there's some incredible other records. They've just put out a couple of EPs of like unreleased stuff and B-side stuff and acoustic versions. But in 2014, they released this album like 10 years after their debut, and it kind of went under the rug. But it's a great album. It really is. It stands out, so different. It's still very Kooks. Luke has a very distinctive voice, but records like Bad Habit are great. And this record, we're not playing first album Kooks, because I think we need to celebrate. We need to, as a movement, as a group, as a society, we need to celebrate the Kooks for more than Naive. Naive's a belter, but there are some other amazing records and they should be celebrated. So today, we're playing Down. What a corker of a record. This is so good. It's got so much groove to it. Absolutely love it. Oh, I'll let it speak for itself. This is Down by the Kooks.
Down, down, diggy, down, down, diggy, down, down, diggy, down, down, diggy.
And the final headliner and the end of the show is by the wonderful Liverpudlians, the Wombats. The Wombats co-headlining with the Kooks. I think probably you'd have the Kooks on last and have the Wombats on first, but I don't mind. Either way, it's fine. So the Wombats, for me, I always thought that they were like a pop group for young teenagers. Probably because I was an old teenager when they first came out, and like I liked them, but they were very commercial. As those young teenagers have become adults, I'm talking about people like my brothers, as they've become adults, I've kind of appreciated them a lot more. That first album by the Wombats is brilliant, and what they, Let's Dance to Joy Division and Moving to New York are absolute anthems. Records like Techno Fan and Tokyo are absolutely brilliant. They're a band that have been around for a long time, and actually, I remember last year they were booked for Reading for the second consecutive year, playing exactly the same slot, and I was thinking, what's the point in that? They're not bringing anything new. They released Beautiful People Will Ruin Your Life in 2018, played Reading and Leeds on the main stage, like sub-headlining or just like third from top. Last year did exactly the same slot, and I'm thinking, what's the point in that? And I went along to it because, well, my little brother's a big Wombats fan, and it was great. And they were absolutely brilliant. They're absolutely brilliant. They're a great band. They're a fan favourite, as many would say. I think the Wombats are absolutely great. And their last album really stepped them up. So many artists, so many bands in my life anyway, struggle to get past their debut and they kind of go on a downward spiral. I don't think that's true with the Wombats. I think they go from strength to strength to strength. My hope would be, if they're being booked to headline a festival this year, 2 years after their last album, that we're getting new music from them, ASAP Rocky, would be my hope. I don't know if that's true, but I hope that means we're getting new music from them. In an interview with themusic.com.au, October 2019, they've already written 5 records for their new album. Wow. Murph, the lead singer from the band, went off to go do his solo project Love, Fame, Tragedies at the end of last year. Look, I think they're great, and this record in particular is their best record. It really is, and it's a sunsetting festival anthem. Not much more to be said there. I just want to finish this. This podcast and playlist is perfectly finished by this record. It's absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for watching this one. How do you think about this kind of format? Festival Graveyard, as someone had said in the comments section. I really appreciate that. Oh, I haven't done any shout-outs. Shout-outs to Harry Jones, Joshua Simmons, and Theo Smith, all on YouTube. Instagram, let's have a look. Shout out the new Instagram. Oh, I've got a new Instagram account actually. If you can go follow that at Music Club FM, that'd be great. Shout-outs to Henry Froth. God, I'm speaking that badly. Was planning to go see Bombay and Massive Attack. Gutted that he couldn't see anything. Of course, Emma Illingworth as well. Was excited to see Bombay, Everything, Glass Animals, Caribou, and Tame Impala. God, me too, man. Me too. Shout outs to anyone that's been in touch. I really appreciate that. Some amazing music recommendations coming from you guys at the moment. I really appreciate that. Send it my way if you think I'm going to like something. There is no festival next week. So next week, back to normal. Lots of discovery, lots of new music. Then we're heading into some festival specials. What do you think about this? Have I missed someone off of this list? Should I be talking more about someone? Is there someone that you would have gone and seen that I haven't talked about? Or have I played a record incorrectly? I love that thought. Love your input as always. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Drop me a message on Instagram or send me a tweet at Tequila Face, all of that kind of stuff. Please don't hesitate to get in touch. I have been Jack, this has been Music Club FM, and we're finishing off today's episode with the incredible record by the Wombats. This is Turn.
I like the way you break